Well, hello and welcome to another show of Positively Positive. And I am your host, Susan Mintz. You know, if any of you want to Google the Roaring Twenties, it was an amazing time for fashion. Everything was sparkles and fringed, and it was such an exciting time for clothes. So whenever I put something like this on, I always feel like I'm back in the 20s, with it. Just wonderful. But this is Positively Positive. I'm Susan Mintz, and we have an incredible show for you tonight. This organization has been in Palm Beach County for many years. They're a full service facility pretty much, and they were on last year. But this year, we're not just focusing on personal stories. We really want to also have resources, places that people can go that are safe, where they can get tested, where they can get the doctors, where they can get their where they can have everything without having to travel miles and hours and hours and have it be difficult. So tonight you're going to hear from a wonderful gentleman who works for this amazing, wonderful facility in Palm Beach County. But you also have to remember that even though many of our guests are from South Florida, that's not the way it is. We have guests this year, season 2, New York already. Yes, west coast of Florida. And I don't know, a few other places. I mean, we just have guests coming on all the time now. And it's really been exciting. But we do want to focus on resources because we do want you to have what you need, especially in these times. These times are so challenging for so many people, especially marginalized communities. We want you not to have to go out of your way, feel fear, feel intimidated. We want you to be able to go where you can get tested for HIV and you can get tested for STDs and you can have a healthy, happy, and productive life. And if I didn't tell you what Positively Positive was all about, it's not that I dress up and look like this. It's a show that's exclusively dedicated to HIV and AIDS. It's, of course, the purpose of my life is strictly HIV and AIDS. It's been that way for 40 years and then 30 since my husband died. But the biggest thing is that I know that I'm called to do it, and this was another opportunity. But Positively Positive is all about HIV and AIDS. That's it. If you have a component that's personal, you're a long-term survivor, just diagnosed, young, old, let's not go there. If you're an organization, a facility, if you're a caregiver, we don't care. As long as there's an HIV component, we want you on the show, and we can send you the link. You can click on the calendar, and you could be a guest, and we'd love to have you because this show is not going anywhere but up, 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 and forward. Okay. So as I said in the beginning, my guest is from Compass. And Compass is a marvelous, I don't know if you call it organization, community center, resource. It's just an amazing facility in Lake Worth that is very, very influential in the community and beyond. If they're just because they're in Palm Beach County, they have resources and people from Fort Lauderdale and New York. I mean, once you're in with a group of people like this, as far as networking, they can channel you to almost anywhere else in the country. That's why the internet, when it works. And so Compass is my guest tonight. They were on last year and it was excellent. And I wanted them back on. Since there's so many new viewers, there's also new people that move into the area and they need to know where to go because it's not just going to fly into your face. You have to be able to get these resources, apply them, and have a good, productive, happy, healthy one, even if it's not always happy, productive life. That's what's so important. You should stay healthy, productive, feel safe, and know that it matters what you do and who you are. On this program, well, I've got you now to interview you. You matter. So, when the glasses come off, without further ado, I would like to welcome and say, Dylon Brooks, come on in.
I love it. It was like the StreamYard version of Price is Right. Food again.
Yeah, right. I'm exactly what the Price is Right is looking for. But I feel like Vanna White on steroids.
And I
Anyway,
feel so underdressed over here.
no, this is my shtick. You know, in Hebrew, in Yiddish, you have to have a shtick in show business. A shtick is a shtick. All of a sudden, you know, I wondered why I was shopping on Temu for 8 months. I had no clue why I was buying stuff I didn't need. I mean, what am I doing? I mean, go to church or the market. What do I need to look like this? And then all of a sudden, I'm on Ricciardo's show. Fine. And then next thing you know, I said I wanted to have a show like this. He says, fine. And next thing I know, well, you need a shtick. And next thing you know, I pull out all the turbans. I had boas from the 70s, 80s. I had all these cheap, I always say I'm so proud I can wear cheap, gaudy rings and they look incredible since rings are in. The gloves, I already had the wardrobe, had no idea why. And then all of a sudden the show comes along and we're done. I get dressed at 6:30. I'm done with 20 of 7. I'm done with everything. And I'm in my dining room with my bedroom slippers and a nightgown. I mean, it doesn't get any easier. So Dylon Brooks from Compass in Lake Worth, welcome to Positively Positive. Tell me everything we need to know about Compass and what you do there to start.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for having me, Susan, and for having Compass on the show. Like Susan said, my name is Dylon Brooks. My pronouns are he, him, and his, and I have the pleasure of working at Compass, which is your local LGBTQ plus direct service provider here in Palm Beach County. We're actually the only LGBTQ direct service provider in Palm Beach County, serving all of Palm Beach County, East County to West County, north to south. And everyone in between. And we work really closely with Inspire Recovery, which is a local LGBTQ treatment center. And so basically, I love to think of if anything gay happened in Palm Beach County, it probably came from Compass. So we've been around for a little over 35 years at this point. Started out in 1988 as the Stop AIDS Project in the western part of the community, and then moved east as the epidemic was moving east. Added Youth and Family Services in 1992, and have just been growing exponentially since then. July will actually be 10 years.
Dylon, you speak very quickly, and people may not be able to capture the essence of everything you're saying. So just slow it down a little bit, because I may know what you're going to say, but we got a few hundred listeners who might not say, what did he say? What did he say? So, yeah.
I thank you. So thank you for calling me in on that. I tend to speak pretty quickly, even though I'm from Northeast Georgia and we usually talk slow. So, yeah, I mean, that's Compass in a nutshell. We provide social and support services for the LGBTQ plus community, free rapid HIV testing, free condoms, free lube, access to Plan B and Narcan. We also have Ryan White case management as well. So for anyone who is living with HIV here in Palm Beach County, they can access Ryan White services at any Ryan White provider in Palm Beach County and help get access to things like covering the cost of medications, doctor's visits, what does it even mean to live with HIV in 2025, and so much more. And then the big thing that kind of makes us a one-stop shop situation is we have partnered with CAN Community Health, and we now have a clinic on site as well. So you come to Compass for your community and your engagement and being with everyone. You go over to CAN, which is under the same roof for all of your medical necessities. So HIV treatment, access to PrEP or PEP, so pre-exposure prophylaxis to prevent the contraction of HIV if you were to come in contact with it, as well as post-exposure prophylaxis, which is a 28-day cycle of 2 different HIV medications to prevent the virus from adhering to your system. I like to think about it as like PrEP is birth control and PEP is Plan B. It's a good way to kind of think about it.
Well, now the whole show's been done in 5 minutes. Thank you so much, Dylon, for being a guest. I did ask last year when you were on, Letty and Michael were on, I did want someone from CAN to be on, whether it was a doctor or one of your nurses, somebody there, so they can represent that aspect of Compass. So if you'll work on that and you know, you have the link, we'll send you a link, but that's very important to know that you're affiliated with a facility that is a healthcare provider besides what you do.
Oh yeah, and it has really just made not only linkage to care, but also retention and care that much more easy, as well as just all around awesome. Because
Right.
when you're able to have community at the same place that you're able to go get your medical services, it's like it's just this beautiful feeling when you walk into the space. And I remember the first time when I walked in, probably 13, 14 years ago, and just going into the space, and like, there's just something so calm and collective and beautiful about this. And I can see myself being here. And that was the really important thing for me, being a young gay kid coming from the boondocks of Northeast Georgia, where there is no gay life anywhere. And then you come down here and you're like, oh, okay, it's okay to be gay and it's okay to be queer. And we can be sex positive and have adult conversations with other adults and it just be normal and okay.
So you say you're from Northeast Georgia. How did you end up getting transplanted here?
I love my little origin story because it also ties into how I got involved in the work. So when I was going to undergrad at Gainesville State College, and then later on it was the University of North Georgia, one of our classes was to go and volunteer somewhere in your community. And this was right after when I had came out, and my mother looked at me and told me the first thing was like, I'm afraid you're going to get AIDS and die. And it just, looking back, it shows a lot about how media helped her perception and helped shape her perception of the correlation between the AIDS epidemic and gay men. Mm-hmm. And that's where that kind of came from for her. So I took what she said and almost made it a challenge and a purpose to specifically go and work with people who are affected by the HIV and AIDS epidemic, because I wanted to show her that it's not the world that she grew up in. We don't see HIV the same way that we did in the very beginning. Mm-hmm. So I started volunteering for an organization called AIDS Athens, which primarily does case management for people who are living with HIV, as well as housing opportunities for individuals living with HIV. So just sitting at the front desk and really noticing like there's a lot that happens here that nobody sees in this undescript building, because they had to be in a building that didn't have signs or anything on it because they had previously been vandalized. And there's so much stigma still against the not just the LGBTQ plus community, but those who are living with HIV. Sure. And I was just having this conversation the other day, like HIV does not discriminate based off sexual orientation, gender identity, race, socioeconomic, so on and so forth. No. I mean, if you're having sex or sharing needles, you have a risk of contracting the virus. And show me somebody who isn't having sex in 2025.
Or from the beginning of time.
Right. So long story short, I volunteered with them for a while. I met my partner. We were long distance. I moved down in 2014 and then quickly got involved as a volunteer HIV tester at Compass. And the rest is kind of history. It all started with volunteering.
Now, if even though Compass is in Palm Beach County, if someone from New York or Los Angeles or Kansas or Idaho, do you have the availability to have? Yeah, there are some people in Idaho, Montana, under the snow. But do you have the availability and the resources and the networking to at least start the process and getting people some other places to go, or where they can? You have names.
Oh, absolutely. So Compass ourselves, we're a part of an organization called Centerlink. And Centerlink,
what is it?
It's called Centerlink.
And
yeah, I'll send you the URL. But basically, it's a nonprofit organization that works with other all the LGBTQ nonprofits across the country to ensure that there is that centralized database and people are able to access resources. Because I mean, if you look at the beautiful intersectionality that is the LGBTQ plus community, we intersect at mental health, substance use disorder, housing insecurity, food insecurity. Like, we have the same issues that literally everyone else does.
Of
We're just
course.
do it a little bit more fun.
A little more glam.
A little bit more glam in the
At
process.
times.
And knowing that there are organizations like Centerlink that have all of that in just one beautiful, nice location, it helps to give comfort and peace to that little gay kid who's living in Idaho, or the gay man who grew up on a farm and a ranch in Montana who's under the snow, who is just now coming out at 30. Like, there's a lot out there for everybody.
Now, Dylan, Rob Scott wanted you to be on last year, but you had either commitments with something or you were in school. I don't know what it was, but Rob is our connection, literally. And so that's when Michael and Letty came on. But whenever I see your name, I think, last year, Rob said, you got to get in touch with Dylan. Like, we're this small little community. I think of Compass and CAN, as well as the HIV Care Council, of which Richardo is the chair, and the health department. I think it's just like this dysfunctional family that's functional. Because once you get above yourself, once you get out of yourself and you're with one other person, you could have dysfunction. I mean, so when you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of people, don't tell me that there's not a little bit of crazy going on. So I look at what we're doing in Palm Beach County is phenomenal. There's no county in the country, no area in the country, I think, than South Florida more impacted as a big, large community. But there's no one more than Palm Beach County who has such amazing resources. And that's what this show is about, is we want you to be able to get that right information, because what's happening also disturbs me a lot. Is that it's one thing in the 80s and 90s to be gay or to have the stigma, it's the gay man's disease. But in the year 2025, when funding's being cut from programs, when the LGBTQ community may have all its rights stripped away at times, in persecution, marriage equality, to me, there's so many issues that this show should be bigger and broader and louder than ever, because we're showing you the faces, the people, the places that are involved with helping people get out of this political crap we're dealing with and get into the human side of life. And so how do you feel about what's going on now with what's happening with the community, LGBTQ community?
Well, I'm really glad you brought that up, especially seeing organizations like the Florida Department of Health, the Care Council, CPP, with our prevention partners. It really goes to show that there is no one utopian organization out there. You're not going to have this beautiful organization that can literally do everything from start to finish, from walking to the minute you're in a box underground. There is no one organization that can cover literally everything like that. So having these beautiful, effective collaborations is what's really going to help us not only in the HIV epidemic, but also just like get to a better state of being at the end of the day. If we're not talking about mental health, then we're not talking about this. If you're not talking about sexual health, then you're not talking about that. There is so much intersectionality between every single aspect of humanness. Like, the way that I love to think about it sometimes is my partner, he's like, yeah, I'm so-and-so from so-and-so. I'm not the gay guy from here. Like, gay isn't always the leading thing when it comes to having some conversations. And just having organizations like Compass collaborate with organizations like Campbell Health Solutions is a perfect example right then and there. Like, these, in their right situation, like, they each have their own, like, quote unquote target population, target audience, but there's so much crossover between, like you have a different reach than I do, but when we bring these two together, we're able to get the information out there.
Oh, that to me is what's so very, very important. Is in the 80s and 90s, there was ACT UP. There was more involvement because the moms and dads were doing more. There were support groups in hospitals. It was an amazing time. For me, it was horrible after Jeff passed, but there was so much more going on. And then it's gone quiet because I always believe it's the drug companies owning everybody and everything. And I just believe that everything has gotten quiet. And somebody who was going to be, his show will air on Monday, he said to me, it's like we're starting over with this show and this other person in Miami. And then we're starting over from the ground up again, bringing awareness to all the issues involved with HIV, where we're not, this show came along because there was a need. You came along and Compass came along because there was a need. When there is a need, it's up to you to fill it, whether you think it's working or not. You do not know who's on the other end of it. And I know that the need for a program like this to be able to show and highlight the people, the places, the resources, the facilities, and to openly talk about what you like, what you don't like, what do you think's happened, how far have we come, and yet it seems like we're going back. How do you feel about that? The progress you've made with the stigma of HIV, or the seniors? Like, a big thing for me is the seniors with STDs and HIV. I know they're having an awful lot of sex because I know the drugs the men are taking, and I know the ladies are getting older, 50s, 60s, and they do not like being alone or going to the movies alone or having dinner alone. So for me, I'm a really big one about the youth who thinks they're invincible, take a pill, will be fine. My show always has something me bragging about that, not bragging about the youth today with their twitching on their thumbs and everything is fast. Well, HIV is fast also to us. And then seniors who think that, well, I can't get pregnant and I just don't want to go to the movies alone. And then the men are getting this stuff from the mail discreetly from China, who knows? Rubbing it on now. That's a new one. Now you can rub it on. I just think the whole situation has gotten so crazy. Where are we? You're right in the middle of it. Where are you with the youth, and where are you with the seniors at Compass? Because that's a big part of my demographics.
Absolutely. I want to just take 2 steps back for a second though, because you had brought up it feels like we're starting over. And I feel like I have a different mentality on that, especially when you get newer or younger or different individuals from different walks of life involved in the work. It's not necessarily that we're starting over. You're starting up where somebody stopped off. So let's say we made it here and I want to make it here, but the only way I can make it here is getting in touch with a population that this individual knows. So then they're going to take up that step and so on and so forth. So it might seem like we're starting over, especially when you try to talk about we were blue in the face about condoms back in the day, but here we are in 2025. Let's start that conversation up a little bit again, because now we have antibiotic resistant STIs that are chilling out there. So condoms still work in their own right, the same way that PrEP works in its own right. But when you have the two together, you can really help reach a generation free of HIV and STIs.
So there are antibiotic resistant STDs out there.
The last that I saw, there was a super strain of gonorrhea that was running around a little while ago. So I don't know if it's necessarily antibiotic resistance, but it's definitely going to take a little bit more than it might have originally. The more we start going at that.
And it doesn't matter if it's bacterial or viral. These bugs are strong and they mutate and they do get bigger, and we're getting antibiotic resistant anyway because of so many antibiotics being given to people just when they have a cold. So with HIV, you sneeze and you go to your doctor, I right away gives you a Z-Pack. But I do think, though, that I didn't mean that we're going backwards, but I don't like seeing rights stripped away from people who've worked so hard for them.
Yeah, we're in that sense, we might be going backwards a little bit. But to get back to your other question, we have a lot of different things going on for both our youth and our seniors. So we do have youth groups at Compass. For more info, you can look at our website about dates, times, who, what, when, where. And then on the 2nd and 4th Monday of the month, we host an event called Coffee Clatch, which is for our mature LGBT LGBTQ seniors to come out, have some coffee, learn about some stuff. I know I've been a guest speaker there during, I want to say it was National HIV and Aging Awareness Day, to bring up specifically the point you talked about like, just because you're getting older and just because the likelihood of pregnancy is a lot less, that doesn't mean that STIs are going to go anywhere. You're still a human body and a warm body at the end of the day. So you have the ability to pass it on, even if you can't get pregnant or if there's erectile issues going on. Like, if you're having sex, you're at risk.
Oh yeah, and you know my story was that I Jeffrey, my love of my life, my husband of 25 years, while we were married, gave me every STD there was. I had every one of them. Syphilis, gonorrhea, but they were different. It was in the 70s, the 80s. I still have herpes. I keep on my antiviral. But today, the germs are a lot different. But when I heard about HIV in 1981, that was a killer. And I knew then that we'd have to change our relationship, and abstinence in a sexual relationship became our thing. The love was there, the passion, everything was there. The friendship, the bond, the friendship was there, but we just abstained because he was bisexual. We abstained from a sexual relationship because I wasn't going to get that one. And obviously there was a reason why, that I'm supposed to still be here after all these years doing what I'm doing. But I'd love to speak at the senior group one time. That would be great.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, and do it while I'm still alive. I am getting older.
You're still kicking, Susan. You got this.
Yeah, right, boy. I'll tell you what a little makeup and war paint can do. So the main thing is, though, you're full-time there? Do you volunteer anywhere else? And specifically, what is your position there?
Absolutely. So I've been with Compass. July will be 10 years, and I worked my way up from a volunteer to a program coordinator, and now I am the director of the HIV prevention and education program. And I'm also a registered clinical social work intern in our mental health department. So I see clients on a weekly basis. Unfortunately, I don't have time to volunteer because, like I said in the beginning, volunteering is how I got here in the beginning. And I truly believe that the ability to give back to the community is amazing. Yeah. And it's so underutilized sometimes. Like, people tend to forget. I'm like, is it chill at home for a few hours? Like, you can go pet dogs, and that's volunteering. Like, it's kind of like self-care. Everyone's like, oh, there needs to be this grandiose situation. Right. No, whatever works for you. No. If it's something big,
and every day a little bit. Every day a little bit is all. Even self-care, a little every day, something for yourself. But again, you were a little bit quick with telling me. I asked you, what was your position? I will slow you down because I want our audience to have all this information. So, and then Richard will put your, the Compass website down, and if you want your personal, your Florida, yours down there. I got you. Yours down there and Compass down there. But again, what is your position there?
So I'm the director of HIV prevention and education. So I oversee 2 different staff members and all of our HIV testing volunteers. We have 2 amazing individuals who help make up the prevention and education department with me. Pedro Tibanier is our linkage specialist. So he ensures that when folks are linked up to care or they have a referral, that individuals are getting connected and they're getting connected to the right resources and things like that. And Kai Walker is our outreach intervention specialist. So he is literally boots on the ground. If you see us providing information somewhere, it's probably Kai or one of the other awesome staff at Compass who are just, I feel like I'm going to church. They're sharing the good word of Compass.
Yeah, just you, me, and the church right now. We're good. I think it's wonderful. So how many people are employed full-time at Compass?
Ooh. I want to 23 or 24.
That's it's grown a lot.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
grown.
We have
And you said it
definitely
was started. When was it started? You said 30 years ago, 35 years ago?
1988. So now 37, 30. I don't know. Math is not my strong suit this late in the day.
So in other words, though, that if people contact Compass and we have your website down there, and then we can put your, direct information, he'll put that up. You can refer to other places, obviously. That's what I want to get people to know, is that the resources that we have on this program, it's not just the stories, but the resources that we provide people. Our people, like Pride Center was on a few weeks ago. And just in general, though, that's the point. We have people on who can network you to other facilities. And that's where, when the internet works, it's marvelous. If it doesn't work, I'm the first one to say, ugh. That's why even tonight, you have so much valuable information to share. I want to make sure our audience gets it all, because it'll go on my website also, and on Richardo's. And so are you growing? Is there more that you're going to be doing there, or you're very good with where you are with HIV prevention and education?
In terms of me personally?
Yeah. Are you see yourself staying there in Compass?
Yeah, I'll be around for a while, that's for sure. Because like I said, the reason I got involved in this work is the first thing I was told when I came out was I'm going to get AIDS and die. And I was like, if that's what I heard as a 16, 17-year-old growing up in the boondocks of Northeast Georgia, who else has heard that? And how can I make a difference to ensure that this is not the way that they have to go about feeling like what it means to be gay in 2025 and beyond? Like, the HIV and AIDS epidemic made a mark, and it made a very large mark on the LGBTQ plus community, but it's not our defining factor.
No.
And and we said that a little bit ago as well. Like, HIV is no longer just considered a gay man's disease. Everyone has the ability to contract HIV, and everyone has the ability to do their part at preventing their own personal acquisition of HIV.
I do believe if you don't want the information today, then you don't want it, because it is available. Now, whether you have access to the close proximity to a doctor, or you are you can get the funds, apply for Ryan White assistance, you may not be able to immediately have what you need. But if you don't, it's not because the information is not out there.
Right.
Through your health departments, community centers, organizations like Compass. So I do believe that if you don't want to know, you don't have to know. But if you do want to know, it's there.
And I'm glad you brought up the doctors aren't necessarily right around the corner situation. So I'm also an ambassador with the CDC's Let's Stop HIV Together initiative. And one of the core components of the Let's Stop HIV Together initiative is the at-home HIV test. So if individuals go to together.takemehome.org, they can order up to 2 rapid at-home HIV tests to be delivered to them anywhere in the United States, like anywhere. If Amazon goes there, if USPS goes there, you can get an HIV test delivered to your house, and you can order up to 2 per person every 90 days.
And what would be the charge? What's the charge?
Free.
See there, it is together.takemehome.com. .org. .org. He'll change it. Okay. But that's, I don't do that. I just talk to people. He's in charge of everything else. So if there's ever anything that goes wrong, he's did it. It's his fault. I just talk. There we go. Yay! Together.takemehome.org. How do you feel about, though, the at-home tests personally? Because I know of instances where doing those tests alone at home to get a positive diagnosis, can be very frightening.
I think it just kind of it depends on a couple of things. The first one being is the individual, do they even feel okay utilizing the technology? So when you get an at-home test delivered to your house, I did have one in here, but I guess not anymore. It's going to be this like cute little giant box situation and not really that big.
You want to get one? Do you have one close? You can get up and go.
I was looking around my house and I think I actually used it. So I knew my own status from the comfort of my bedroom. And it's really simple and easy. You'll open it up. It's a full step-by-step situation. It uses the OraQuick technology. So that is an oral swab instead of a finger stick like you would get if you came to Compass. It's very step-by-step. It gives the ability to, I feel like you have the ability to like chat with a provider or somebody like that. And also at the very end, it'll give you resources and where to go based off if your test came back negative or reactive. So if it came back negative, it'll give you some information about like, this is what it means to be HIV negative. We're also going to review the window period, which is that 3 months from the point of contraction till the time you develop enough antibodies to show up on a rapid HIV test. And then also get you connected to PrEP if that's something that you're interested in. And then on the flip side, if it does come up reactive, I'm trying to remember the best of my ability, but I know that the one big thing that it put in there was how to find a provider near you to help you get connected. And it's one of the websites off the CDC. I'm supposedly all the links are now back up and running on CDC. And you can be there. There's a HIV testing and treatment locator on the CDC's website as well as HRSA's website. So you can find somebody within X amount of miles of your zip code.
That's great, because that came up at the Care Council meetings several times, and all the time. Transportation, not everybody has a car. Certainly, we a lot of cities aren't set up with buses or transportation. But the other thing is that it shouldn't have to drive an hour or two to get to somebody. And again, I'm not talking about maybe rural areas in the country, but by and large, if you live close to a metropolitan area or even an area near a college or a university or something, I think having to drive 2 hours here and an hour there and all of this in different places, it's not only mentally stressful, physically demanding, financially, people can't do it. That's the other thing with even getting tested, getting meds, getting resources. People are working. I mean, I'm involved very heavily with the African-American community and African-American women. And they work hard. They have to work 1-2 jobs. They're taking care of their kids, or their grandparents are taking care of their kids. And it's a community that, doesn't have the amazing resources that a lot of people do as individuals. So they're very limited at times to where they can go, how they can get a test.
Say like the scenarios that you were explaining about like going like 2 hours or whatever to an appointment,
just keep talking.
Okay.
Yeah, just keep talking. Yeah. We did really good up until right now, so just keep talking.
Okay, perfect. I was just gonna say, like, you really sure, in different parts of like rural Georgia, Mississippi, the Delta, so on and so forth, like you are going to be going those 2 hours or so to get to an appointment. The same thing is still happening here in Palm Beach County, as interesting as that sounds.
Now we're freezing again. Keep talking if you can.
So basically, I mean, even here in Palm Beach County, the largest landmass county east of the Mississippi, we still have clients who are out in Belglade, Pahokee, South Bay, who don't necessarily want to get services out in that region because they might know someone at the clinic, or like in small communities, it's really tight knit. Mm-hmm. So if somebody wants to come over to the eastern side of the county to get resources, and you're having to take public transportation, you're looking at being on the bus pretty much a good half of the day just to get to an appointment. hopefully you're able to make it on time, go to the
Right.
appointment, and then try to get back out to the
Right.
Western community. So that's another way that we can really help with this collaboration and expansion, is to know who are our key partners who are already out in these communities, who are doing the work, boots on the ground, who know their community. And
Right.
it's so weird if like I just randomly show up in Miami being like, hey, I'm here to offer services. None of you know me. But if you get someone who
Right.
is a local, who knows the community, who is a gatekeeper, or just, don't show up in places without an invitation. I'll put it that way. Never show up without being invited into a community. Always respect the sacredness of an invitation into
That's
the
wonderful. Yeah.
community.
That's such a great word, the sacredness, even in somebody's space. You know, you can be the first one to arrive at a party, but sometimes you got to know when to leave. When you start feeling uncomfortable, or you're not working, you just have to know where you are, who you are, find the right people to get you what you need. But you don't have to. I think today with HIV as STDs, I think if we can just remove that stigma that hit in the 80s, and that was it. It's stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's so sad. It's not. I was prophesying after Jeff, I knew he was bisexual. And I said, once gay men, it's going to go heterosexual men. It's going to go African-American women. It's going to go everywhere. It's going to be, I was already saying it because it's a virus, people. Do you think it cares?
No.
You think it cares if I'm 70 years old and I meet somebody on a cruise and he wants to have sex and I really like this guy, that this virus is saying, it's okay, Susan, go have all the sex you want with this man. He's just fine. Well, maybe I slept with 6 decades of his promiscuity. So I'm saying there's a way of being stupid also.
Right. And I'm not going to like say anyone's stupid by any means, but just really remembering that we all have a right and responsibility to our own sexual health. And the only person who's looking after your sexual health, your physical health, anything like that, is you. At the end of the day, because you have to chill. You have to be in this body 365 days, 24/7, 364 if it's a leap year. But you have to be with you.
And you said you have a partner you're with?
Mm-hmm.
Are you married or just living together?
Next question.
Oh, we touched on a little personal thing. Oh, there's the blonde. Now tell me, you don't go to the care council meetings, do you?
Unfortunately, I don't go to the care council meetings. I do, however, co-chair the CPP, which is the prevention side of HIV here in Palm Beach County. So that's community prevention partnerships, and that brings together all of the HIV prevention and education organizations from across Palm Beach County to collaboratively work on prevention efforts in Palm Beach County, because we too also realize the intersectionalities and the inability, or the more likelihood that one organization is going to jive well with one community versus another. So at the end of the day, it's all about community outreach and effective collaboration.
Communication. That's what it's about. You can't stay locked up in your room. You've got to be out with people. We are social creatures by nature. And the other thing is, boy, did you perk up when I asked about your relationship. Man, you let your hair fly and you put yourself right in front of your screen, honey. You were louder than you were the whole night. Ha, ha, ha. I get it out of everywhere. I get something out of everybody, every show. But that's just the way it was. Boy, you perked right up there. That was incredible. You let your hair down. Yes.
Can that part be deleted out of this?
Yeah, we're going to leave it at that. I want also Compass's. Do you have a personal email? Not personal, but with Compass that they can reach you, so we can post that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can find Compass on all social media: Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok. If you use at Compass Center, you'll find all of our social media accounts. And then my email is Dylon, Dylan, at Compass, Compass, LGBTQ.com.
All right. The other thing that interests me, do you have right now a specific demographics that you do think is being more impacted than anyone else?
Um, So specifically here in Palm Beach County and in other what we call EHE jurisdictions, so different cities across the country who are working specifically with the government for ending the HIV epidemic. But here specifically in Palm Beach County, there is more effort to work with Black cisgender heterosexual females, because it seems that there's a rise in HIV diagnoses amongst that group. So not only working with the individuals themselves, but also the individuals that they're having sex with. Here we are in 2025, and we're still talking about guys being on the down low and
Yeah,
not
yeah.
necessarily, and that even like when you look at some terminology, for example, we've gone from the days of these are gay men, these are men who have sex with men. Now it's male to male sexual contact, and that includes individuals who identify as gay, bisexual, on the DL, same gender loving men. And yeah, we have to work a lot more with our
All right,
guys.
I want you to say that again. When I said a demographics, say that again loud and clear because I want people to know just what you said because that's where I believe the information is. It's there, but in denial or they're not wanting to talk about it. Talk about that then again.
Yeah, absolutely. So at Compass, even though we are the LGBTQ plus direct service provider for Palm Beach County, we are a community center first and foremost. A lot of our clients are actually identified as straight, heterosexual, cisgender individuals. But when it comes to if there's populations that we're predominantly doing a little bit more outreach for or wanting to get more testing, it's our Black heterosexual females. And yeah, and that really takes it that one step further of like, there is no sexual orientation or gender identity that is free of HIV. Like, everyone has the ability to contract HIV. And there is a program actually out by the CDC called She's Well, and it is their specific PrEP initiative for women to also educate women that you can get on PrEP as well. Like, this isn't just the same way that HIV isn't just a gay man's disease, prevention is not just a gay man's option. Women
No.
can also get on PrEP, whether that be Truvada, the once a pill, once a day, Apretude, every other month shot. There is equity across the board. And if you're having sex, you have a right to prevent any HIV and STIs for your own self. So know what your prevention options are. Long gone are just the days of condoms. We now have biological prevention, so PrEP, PEP, as well as knowing that you equals you. So if you're having
Right.
sex with someone who is living with HIV, they have an undetectable viral load, you have no risk of contracting the virus.
And I was going to ask you, is there any one medication out right now that you find the majority of people on, or does it just depend on who the person is?
I think it just depends on who the person is. So right now, when it comes to PrEP, for example, there are 3 different medications out on the market. For the oral version, you have Truvada and Descovy, and that's where the separation kind of comes in a little bit. So the
Mm-hmm.
only individuals currently FDA approved for taking Truvada, which was the first PrEP pill, are cisgender women and trans men. And then for Descovy, which was the second oral PrEP that came out a number of years ago now, that's only currently clinically approved for cisgender men and trans women.
Wow.
Now, the shot, for example, that is anyone can get the shot. It's totally good. Everyone, cis, trans, non-binary, can get the shot. No issues, no problems.
Well, if you know anybody with a pharmaceutical company who'd like to sponsor this show, it would be perfect, because that's a perfect fit. We would get the visibility. We would get the visibility necessary to get this thing national or streaming on a major platform. We would be able to have a drug company underwrite it all. And that would really help, because a program like this that nobody else has ever done or is doing, if we could just get one drug company to say, you know what, they don't have maybe 10,000 people yet, but he's doing, Richardo Jackson, they're doing something here in Palm Beach County that nobody else anywhere in the country's doing. Let's invest in them and get them where they need to be, because there's millions of people who want to tell their story. There's tens of thousands of organizations around the country that need to be mentioned. Mm-hmm. And also, we need help. I need someone who could assist me with my wardrobe. But anyway, that's what I'd like. I always ask homework, get me somebody now from Cannes, and try to see if you have any drug reps, at least mention what we're doing here, because we are starting on the ground floor doing something different. And I know when the right person clicks, it's going to take off, because it is not going away. HIV isn't going away, and all the medications aren't going to go away, and they're just going to get longer names and be more expensive and make it harder for some people to get them.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll work with Richardo on finding other guests for sure, especially from Cannes and from Pharma.
Oh, Pharma. Oh, I could do a whole show ragging about pharmaceutical companies. The other thing is, and I would promote them. I'm not saying anything bad about a pharmaceutical company. I just want to be a guest. But what I'm going to say is then I'd like to make sure people know how to reach Compass again. If you'll just say the name, how to reach Compass again.
Absolutely. So you can find Compass Community Center at www.compasslgbtq.com. And you can find so much, like all of our different programming that we have coming up. So we're getting ready for, I have a few flyers laid out in front of me. We have Pride the last weekend in March. There's 3 things happening on March 1st. So our mental health department is hosting a Hey, Let's Talk, finding connection during challenging times. And individuals can come in and meet with a therapist, all for free. Entourage, which is our young adult program, is also hosting a game night from 2 to 5 on March 1st.
That's so good. It's good, because this is bringing people together. And the other thing is that, what was that other one I wanted that you said together, the one that was the home tests?
Yeah.
What was that again?
Together.takemehome.org.
Sounds like a dating site. Oh, there it is. It is. We have a couple of guests who are into the dating sites. That's how they met their partners. And I just think that's a story. Together, take me home tonight. So the other thing is, I just want to thank my guest, Dylon Brooks, who I've wanted on for a year, and Compass every year, maybe twice. And I just thank you for the valuable information, for the wonderful work you do, and that it's just amazing to be in an area where we do have so many great resources. And thank you, Dylon Brooks. Thank you, Compass, for sharing him with us tonight. And this is Positively Positive, and I'm Susan Mintz. I'll always be committed to love. And that's just a way it goes. That's how it is. Always committed to love. And you were great. You were just what we needed, what we need.
Thank you for having me.
I never always, there's always like a wrap up where there's a couple minutes where I can thank you personally and mention some things. But then all of a sudden, the other time.